Everyone loves old sci-fi movies, but which ones are a little bit overrated? Today I'm going to cover 10 classic sci-fi movies that are a bit overrated. Welcome back to Finale, let's get into the video. Number 10, Blade Runner. Ridley Scott's Blade Runner is one of those movies that is passionately defended against all criticism. However, with multiple cuts released since 1982, it seems apparent that even Scott himself would admit to a few faults with the movie. The visual style is iconic and for a good reason. The sci-fi story is also really solid. However, it was a slow-moving plot that seems to drag its feet at times. And as good as Harrison Ford is in the role of Deckard, the character is not a super compelling protagonist.
Roy Batty, probably the leader.
There was just one outfit making replicants that super.
Number 9, Dune. It's interesting to consider Dune an underrated movie since it was a critical and financial failure upon its release. However, over the years, the movie has developed a cult following with some viewing it as a misunderstood masterpiece. While David Lynch's vision deserves more credit than it was initially given, trying to rewrite history and say this is a good movie feels like a stretch. It feels as if they didn't even try to make the complex story comprehensible at all, and it feels as if we are wandering lost in the movie.
Many dangers exist on Arrakis. The unknown.
Number 8, The Fifth Element. Sometimes there are movies that are so wild and imaginative that it's hard not to admire them. The Fifth Element is certainly one of those movies, as it delivers a colorful, absurd, and humorous sci-fi adventure. The craziness does make for some really fun moments, and the movie separates itself from other sci-fi stories for being so vibrant. But the overall piece feels more like a collection of interesting moments put together in a complicated and somewhat unsatisfying package. Number 7, Soylent Green. Soylent Green fits nicely under the trend of dark and pessimistic sci-fi movies of the 1970s. It is set in a future in which overcrowding has become a serious problem, with a food shortage being handled by a massive corporation called Soylent, which is at the center of a murder investigation. By now, most people are aware of the famous twist ending. As smart and impactful as that ending is, the rest of the movie doesn't have a lot going for it.
Hey, Saul!
A living book in a world without books.
Have some pencils. Curtis.
Number 6, Independence Day. When thinking of alien invasion movies, it's hard not to first think of Independence Day. The summer blockbuster really delivered in the destruction and spectacle departments, as massive spaceships appear all over the world and unleash devastating attacks. The first half of the movie is a lot of really fun build-up that climaxes with the unforgettable attack sequence, but the second half is a much less interesting ride that takes and starts to veer into the ridiculous in an attempt to match those earlier high notes.
Checkmate. I don't think they flew 90 billion.
Number 5, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. Many fans would be furious to hear any aspect of the original Star Wars trilogy be deemed overrated, but then there are the other diehard fans that can admit Return of the Jedi does get a bit too silly at times. The final chapter in the first trilogy had to follow up The Empire Strikes Back's darker and powerful tone. Lucas decided to go with a much lighter and family-friendly route. There are some iconic moments and a lot of fun, but the fact that Han Solo is turned into a slapstick comedian while hanging out with teddy bear creatures is a letdown.
Turn for the climactic chapter of the Star Wars saga.
Number 4, Back to the Future Part 2. The first Back to the Future is one of those nearly perfect movies that people could rewatch again and again without its quality diminishing. The sequel is often regarded as just as good as the original, or even better, according to some fans. That is just nonsense. Back to the Future Part 2 does a great job of continuing this adventure while taking it in a clever new direction. It is a worthy follow-up, but doesn't match the cleverness, comedy, and excitement of the original.
He's a complete wimp.
Don't talk to anyone. Yep.
Number 3, Mad Max. The Mad Max franchise is a fantastic action series that proved it still has plenty of gas left in the engine with the brilliant Mad Max Fury Road. But while the original is seen as the classic that kicked off the franchise, it may be the least entertaining entry. The dystopia revenge story has some truly great moments that stick out, but it is also a surprisingly tedious story. While a slow burn can be effective when rewatching the movie, it does feel like there was a lot of fat that could have been trimmed.
Max is a main force.
Number 2, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Steven Spielberg has created some of the most beloved sci-fi movies of all time. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is one of his most successful movies and tells the story of a family man who becomes obsessed with aliens after having a run-in with a UFO. The movie contains plenty of Spielberg magic that is still thrilling to this day, but Spielberg made a real error with his protagonist, who comes off as a selfish, slimy, and unsympathetic man whose actions are appalling. It really makes the ending land on a sour note.
I can see in this shape. Damn it, I know this. I know what this is.
Number 1, Avatar. When a movie becomes the highest grossing movie of all time, it's hard to escape the label of overrated. James Cameron's Avatar explores the alien world of Pandora as a soldier is tasked with infiltrating the planet's native alien race, but soon feels a kinship to them. With the huge box office numbers and many Oscar nominations, the backlash against Avatar was swift and sometimes unfair, but it is hard to argue that despite the amazing groundbreaking visuals, the movie is packed with stale dialogue, forgettable characters, and a very familiar story. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.